looking for the equalizer.
The Lakers offense is exactly what it needs to be right now.
Up near the rim, and put down by James! The Lakers in front. Holmgren powers in, gets it to go!
This is Thunder basketball.
Williams! He's got a chance for 4.
The turnovers have just killed them.
Usually the team that imposes their will more just wins. And that's probably why we won tonight.
OKC headed to Los Angeles for Game 3 after grabbing a 2-0 series lead over the Lakers. Oklahoma City 6-0 this postseason, tied for the third best playoff start by a defending champion over the last 30 seasons. Tonight they'll try to become the 6th defending champ in NBA history to begin their playoff campaign 7-0 or better. 3 of the previous 5 repeated as champions. Howdy, Tim MacMahon. After the Game 2 loss, Austin Reeves and J.J. Redick both had complaints about the officiating. Sir, how much impact do you see the officiating having in this game tonight and moving forward in this series?
Howdy, Jay. I'd say that the attention to impact ratio with the refs has been pretty out of whack. Look, these weren't close games in Oklahoma City, despite the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't have his typical MVP caliber performances. As a matter of fact, in Game 2, when the Lakers were really upset with the referees, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander sat almost the entire third quarter because he was in foul trouble. But I get it. This is a constant source of complaining for Oklahoma City opponents. They feel like Shai gets touch fouls, as J.J. Redick said, and that Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, and those guys get away with a whole lot on the other end. Yeah, I don't know that this has impacted the series so far, but what I can tell you is OKC just considers all this discourse a distraction. They don't want any part of it. They just want to stay completely above the fray. As Lou Dort told me, it can get frustrating for the other side, and I guess that's good for us.
Indeed. You mentioned SGA really hadn't been SGA. Jalen Williams hasn't played in this series, but OKC is still rolling. They're up 2-0 over LA. What do you make of the depth of this Thunder team?
I mean, look at that 22-4 run they went right after SGA had to go to the bench picking up his 4th foul. The guys who really spearheaded that run, aside from Chet Holmgren, you're talking about Jared McCain. He's a trade deadline pickup. He wasn't even on the roster last season. You're talking about A.J. Mitchell, a guy who, as a rookie last year, wasn't part of the playoff rotation. They have guys who aren't playing in games, who aren't in the rotation, who would be the 6th, 7th, 8th man for the Los Angeles Lakers. This team, they've got a lot of strengths, but the remarkable depth is definitely one of them for the OKC Thunder.
Tim MacMahon, all the best. Thank you, brother. Big Vic doing big things in the NBA playoffs. Victor Wembanyama 0-4 in his career at the Timberwolves before last night. He was a wall inside defensively. I mean, Jaden McDaniels thought he had something, and Victor says, no, you don't. McDaniels, get that mess out of here.
Is that goaltending?
No. Well, from the other angle, it looked like it was goaltending, but he's so tall. That wasn't goaltending either. Julius Randle's like, I don't know what to do. Timberwolves shot 2 of 14 with Wemby on the floor in the first, 6 of 9 when he subbed off. Spurs out to an early lead in this one. They did have some time for Ant to cook. 30 seconds left in the quarter. Anthony Edwards stepping into that. He mad, too. Down 4 a little later. Stepping into that one, too. Scores the final 12 points for the Timberwolves in the first. Those two going at it. But Wemby took over in the fourth. Gets the offensive board coming up because he's very tall. I'll take that. Spurs up 8. Just kind of flips it over his head. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. Drops a 3. Keeps the Wolves at bay. He had 16 of his 39 in the fourth quarter. The most in a quarter in his playoff career. Spurs take Game 3, and they take a 2-1 series lead. Wemby was not the only player last night to ball out and drop 30-plus points in Game 3. Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards also went off for 30-plus. For Brunson, it was his 3rd game with 30-plus points this postseason. It was also Ant-Man's 17th career 30-point game in the postseason. Well, since we have NBA three-point contest champ Quentin Richardson back with us now, it is only right that we run a segment called Threes and Q's Game 3 edition. You ready to do this, my friend?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you a question, and 3 options, and you choose the one option you like, and you tell me why. First up, which player last night had the most impressive game? Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, or Victor Wembanyama?
This is easy, legend. We got to go with Wemby right here. While those guys all balled out, from Jalen Brunson to Ant Edwards, whenever you do something in the game, you get your name on a list where only Hakeem, Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaquille O'Neal have done. You outdo everybody for the night. You got the award. Wemby went out there and was the first guy since Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq to have 35, 15, and 5 blocks. And the fashion that he did it, that was a Olajuwon move right there that he spoke on in the post game and said he had to implement the work from the summer. So, I mean, Wemby got it, man. Wemby is the man of the moment right now.
Indeed. I like that choice. Okay, next up, looking ahead to tonight, which player needs to step up most in the Cavs-Pistons game? Cade Cunningham, Donovan Mitchell, or James Harden?
James Harden for me. I need to see James Harden be who I know him to be. I'm a big believer in his game. I mean, right so far, Cade Cunningham and Donovan Mitchell have been stepping up. I mean, obviously, Cade has been leading his team, and Donovan has been the leading force for the Cavs, even though they've yet to win. For me, I expect James Harden to be the next best player in this series, and knowing his history and knowing who he is, I'm not quite figured out exactly what the problem is. I mean, obviously, he's had a lot of turnovers, but I'm not sure why there's a disconnect from the player he is in the regular season to the player he becomes in the playoffs. But the Cavs need him desperately to step up.
Yes, indeed, they do. Okay, my friend, last one. Which player cannot afford to have an off game in Thunder Lakers? Is it LeBron James, Austin Reeves, or Chet Holmgren?
Austin Reeves for me. I mean, I don't believe LeBron will have a bad game or an off game, but I mean, when you look at Austin Reeves, he has to be, for me, the scoring punch for the Lakers. He's right now the active leading scorer for their team, and you saw how potent he was able to be in the last game. And I think if he can be that version of himself or similar to that, scoring-wise, they definitely have a far better chance. And for me, Chet can have an off game because they got SGA and a whole bunch of other people. SGA has been having off games, and they've still been able to win. So for me, it's definitely Austin Reeves.
Like the Thunder have about 100 players on their roster. It doesn't matter. Somebody will step up for them. By the way, during the regular season, the Lakers went 23-4 when Austin Reeves had 20 or more points. So you're right. He does need to step up. Quentin Richardson, Q, my man. Thank you, brother.
2. George with his 4th three-pointer.
Knicks down by 1 with the 4th to play.
We're going to have a great finish here in New York. They haven't had a close game in a while. These last 4 games have been stress-free. 25 lead changes, most in a playoff game in 13 years. Brunson the fake, falling away, puts it up. That's good. Jalen Brunson in the clutch.
These are the games that help us grow, for us to find a way to win tonight. It speaks volumes about everyone in that locker room.
The time is now.
New York laced up them Tims last night, and Harlem shake their way to a 3-0 series lead against the Sixers. So can they bust out the brooms and sweep Philly out the playoffs? It's the 5th time in franchise history that the Knicks have taken a 3-0 series lead in a best-of-7 series. They managed to end 2 of the previous 4 series in a sweep. Then as for Game 4, New York is currently a 1.5-point favorite according to DraftKings Sportsbook. So we say good morning to our NBA analyst, Quentin Richardson. And Q, we saw Philly come back from being down 3-1 against Boston in the first round. And now the task is much taller, being down 3-0 versus New York. How much of a chance are you giving Philly here to come back?
Goob, I'm not giving the Sixers much of a chance to come back in this series at all right now. If they could even get one game, which is right now it's not looking like it. I feel like it's going to be a sweep. When you look at this series, the Knicks have averaged in the 3 games, they've averaged a 19.7 point win percentage or average against the Sixers. The only close game being game 2 where it was a 6-point difference at the end. But the way that they play, man, you got to take your hats off to Coach Brown and then and the staff and then these players. They've come out and they've executed. They've dominated this series against them, and it's been pretty much one-sided, led by Big Body Brunson and his scoring power that he's provided.
Yeah, and history tends to agree with you right there. Teams are 161-0 all time in a best-of-7 series when they're leading 3-0. But before this series started, you said the Knicks won't have many answers for Joel Embiid, and he's averaging just 16 points in the 2 games that he's played. So how has New York been able to limit the former MVP?
Again, you got to go to Coach Brown and the staff for coming up with a great game plan, attacking Joel Embiid in game one with the speed and the quickness and the versatility of Karl Anthony Towns. And then you got to go to the players. They've done a great job, like Cat Anthony Towns playing at the top of the key, being that facilitator, and then getting them putting Joel Embiid in those pick and rolls where his mobility has been limited. And his health. The second thing is his health hasn't been what you would have wanted it to be. And when you look at the big fella out there and knowing what he's capable of doing and looking at how he's hampered, it's just his health is not there for him. And I feel like those two things combined have definitely limited him to those points.
All right, so moving on to the West, because Victor Wembanyama became the first player with 35 points, 15 rebounds on 70% shooting in a playoff game since LeBron James did it in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. So when you look at what this man was able to do, I don't even know if he's a man or if he's an alien, how do you put it all into perspective?
Now, I just look at it like Wemby is doing all of the things that you're supposed to do up to this point to check the boxes to become one of the great ones. He can, he's in year 3. He can only do what's put in front of him. And his growth, the steps he's taking every year to get better and become more dominant. And he looks like like you say, like he's on his way to the moon right now as far as his potential and everything that he's going to be. His ceiling, I don't think he has a ceiling. He's putting in the requisite work to go to the legends and the different icons of the game to learn and pick their minds and implement things to his game. So I think it's inevitable that he's going to be the best player in the league. And it's probably going to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, most definitely. Q, thank you. Stick around. He'll be back later on to preview tonight's Game 3s.